Okay, real talk. There are actresses who can act. There are actresses who can sing. There are actresses who can do a full-body pratfall down a flight of stairs and somehow make it look elegant. And then there's Anne Hathaway, who apparently decided to do all three at the same time on purpose just to make the rest of us feel bad. If you've ever wondered what happens when the cameras stop rolling but Anne Hathaway forgets to stop performing, you're in the right place. Because today, we're diving into the bloopers, the corpsing, the on-set chaos, and the behind-the-scenes moments that prove one very simple thing. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can Anne Hathaway quite like Anne Hathaway. Let's get into it. First things first, you need to understand something about Anne Hathaway before we go any further. This woman cannot keep a straight face. It's practically a documented condition at this point. Across countless interviews and set visits over the years, directors and co-stars have talked about how easily she cracks up mid-take. One wrong look from a scene partner, one slightly too weird line reading, and it's over. She's gone, shoulders shaking, trying to apologize through laughter, while somehow still remembering her blocking. And honestly, that's kind of the charm of it. A lot of actors treat set like a courtroom, dead serious, don't breathe too loud. Hathaway treats it like she's having the time of her life, which, when you watch these compilations back, is exactly what makes them so fun to watch. The joy is not performed. The joy is just leaking out constantly. It's the kind of infectious energy where even crew members who've seen 1,000 takes of 1,000 different actors will admit hers hit different. You can hear it in interviews with directors who worked with her early in her career. The phrase, "she just kept losing it," comes up a lot. Let's rewind. Long before award season gowns and Oscar wins, there was a teenager in braces and eyebrows playing a klutzy princess in training in a Disney movie that, let's be honest, shaped an entire generation's sense of humor. Anne Hathaway has talked openly in interviews about how physical that role was. The pratfalls, the awkward stumbling, the constant tripping over furniture. And according to the people who worked with her, a lot of that physical comedy required multiple takes, not because she couldn't nail it, but because she kept making everyone else laugh in the process. There's something almost poetic about it. Her very first major film role already had her setting the tone for her entire career. A performer who commits so hard to the bit that reality itself starts breaking down around her. Give this woman a pratfall, and she will not just fall, she will fall with intention. Now here's where things get interesting. The Devil Wears Prada is famous for a lot of things. The fashion, the one-liners, Meryl Streep somehow being terrifying using only a whisper. But behind the scenes, reportedly a very different vibe. Cast members have spoken over the years about how much genuine fun was happening off-camera, even in scenes that required icy, composed performances on camera. Hathaway's character had to play the buttoned-up assistant trying to keep her cool under pressure, which is, as it turns out, a lot harder to act convincingly when you're standing 2 feet away from people trying to make you laugh between takes. Directors have mentioned that some of the funniest moments from that production never made it anywhere near the final cut, not because they weren't good, but because they were the opposite of the icy, controlled tone the movie needed, which, frankly, is kind of the eternal bloopers reel paradox. The better the comedic chemistry on set, the less of it you're allowed to actually see in the finished film. Okay, shifting gears, because not every Anne Hathaway story behind the scenes is a laugh riot. Some of them are just intense. Her performance in Les Misérables is widely regarded as one of the most committed pieces of acting from the last couple of decades, and the stories from that shoot back it up. She's spoken publicly about the physical toll of preparing for the role, including drastic changes to her appearance and the emotionally grueling nature of singing live, in character, take after take, rather than lip-syncing to a pre-recorded track like most movie musicals do. That's the thing about Hathaway that a lot of bloopers compilations gloss over. Yes, she's hilarious and warm and constantly cracking up on set, but that same intensity that makes her collapse into giggles over a silly line is the exact same intensity she brings to a role that demands total emotional devastation. It's not 2 different actresses. It's one actress who happens to go all in no matter what all in requires that day. So when you watch the lighter, funnier side of her, just remember this is the same person who can flip a switch and deliver one of the most raw, unfiltered breakdown performances put to film. That range is the whole story. Now let's talk about press tours, because honestly, some of her best off-script moments haven't even happened on film sets. They've happened in interview chairs. Anne Hathaway has become somewhat legendary for owning her own public image quirks. There was a stretch of years where she was very open about being aware of what people online called the Hatha-hate, public criticism that she came across as overly polished or performative in interviews. Rather than avoiding the topic, she leaned into it, joking about it openly in later interviews, poking fun at her own acceptance speech face, and generally being a good sport for a very online phenomenon that, frankly, most celebrities would rather never acknowledge. That kind of self-awareness is rare. It's easy to be funny about other people. It's a lot harder to be funny about the criticism aimed at you, and do it in a way that feels self-deprecating instead of defensive. She's pulled that off repeatedly, which says a lot about who she is off camera, not just on it. Quick fun fact before we keep going, because this one is objectively wild. For a while, finance analysts and finance nerds online tracked something jokingly nicknamed the Anne Hathaway effect, the semi-serious observation that Berkshire Hathaway's stock price seemed to tick upward whenever a new Anne Hathaway movie came out, purely because search engines and news algorithms confusing the two Hathaways. Is it real correlation or just internet nonsense? Honestly, doesn't matter. It's too good not to mention. Somewhere out there, an actress accidentally became a meme stock indicator, and she's taken it in stride every time it's been brought up to her. Add it to the pile of things that make her one of the more good-humored people in Hollywood about her own fame. Back to actual film sets, because musicals seem to be where Anne Hathaway loses it the hardest. Beyond Les Mis, she's tackled musical numbers in multiple projects, and cast members have described just how much harder it is to sing something emotionally heavy with a straight face when your scene partner keeps almost breaking character out of sheer nerves or comedic timing gone slightly wrong. There's a pattern here if you zoom out across her filmography. Comedy roles bring out uncontrollable laughing fits. Musical and dramatic roles bring out raw emotional investment. But in both cases, what carries through is the same thing. She's present. She's not just hitting marks and saying lines, she's actually living inside whatever the scene needs, which is exactly why both the bloopers and the tearjerker moments feel so real. It's also worth mentioning who she shared the screen with, because a resume like this doesn't happen accidentally. Meryl Streep, Robert De Niro, Jake Gyllenhaal, Amy Dimes, directors like Christopher Nolan and Tom Hooper. Multiple co-stars over the years have described her as one of the most prepared, most collaborative people they've worked with, someone who does the homework, shows up ready, and still manages to be the person cracking jokes between setups to keep the energy on set from getting too tense. That combination, rigorous preparation plus genuine warmth, is apparently rarer in this industry than you'd think, which is probably why so many big-name directors keep coming back to work with her more than once. So here's the pattern if you're keeping score. Whether she's tripping over a rug in a Disney movie, losing it laughing between takes on a comedy, singing her heart out live on camera for a devastating musical number, or sitting in a late-night interview chair joking about her own public image, there's one constant. She commits. Fully. Every single time. No half measures, no phoning it in, no separating the fun stuff from the serious stuff. It's all the same intensity, just pointed in different directions depending on what the scene needs that day. And honestly, that's the real reason these bloopers and behind-the-scenes moments hit different than most actors' outtake reels. It's not just celebrity does silly thing, ha-ha. It's watching someone who's fully switched on, fully present, constantly, whether that results in a full-blown laughing fit or an Oscar-winning breakdown. Before we wrap up, we've got to talk about the pranks, because apparently, if you put Anne Hathaway on a set long enough, chaos becomes inevitable, and not always the scripted kind. Multiple co-stars over the years have joked in interviews about elaborate on-set prank wars, hidden props swapped out between takes, fake call sheets, that classic move where someone replaces a serious cue card with something absurd just to catch a scene partner off guard mid-take. Hathaway has been named on both sides of these stories, sometimes the instigator, sometimes the target, and by most accounts, she takes it as well as she dishes it out, which is rarer in this industry than you'd think. There's a story that's floated around press junkets for years about directors having to call cut not because a performance was off, but because someone off camera was doing something ridiculous just out of frame, and it worked exactly as intended, breaking her concentration instantly. Rather than getting frustrated, she reportedly leans all the way into it, letting the laughter run its course before resetting and going again, take after take, with just as much energy as the first attempt. It's a small detail, but it says a lot. A lot of performers guard their focus on set like it's sacred, understandably so, considering how much pressure goes into hitting an emotional beat correctly. But Hathaway's approach seems to be the opposite. Let the joy in, let the crew have their fun, and trust that the professionalism will still be there when the camera's needed most. That balance, deadly serious about the craft, refreshingly loose about everything surrounding it, might be the most underrated part of her reputation on set. And honestly, that's probably the best note to end this segment on, because it ties everything together. The giggle fits, the pranks, the physical comedy, the emotional gut punches, none of it happens by accident. It's all just different expressions of the same thing, an actress who shows up fully every single time, no matter what the day requires of her. So yeah, nobody can Anne Hathaway quite like Anne Hathaway. Not because she's trying to be unpredictable or quirky for the cameras, but because she genuinely seems to just be all in, all the time, on whatever the moment calls for. If you enjoyed this rundown, let me know in the comments which era of her career is your favorite. The Princess Diaries chaos, the Devil Wears Prada icy composure, or the full emotional gut punch of Les Mis. And if you want more deep dives like this one, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.